Hey guys, welcome back to Biology. So guys, in today's video, we are going to study about photosynthesis. So basically, we are starting a new chapter in class 11th NCERT, which is chapter 13, photosynthesis in higher plants, right? So in this chapter, we are going to study in detail how does photosynthesis happens in higher plants, right? So guys, now we know that all animals, right, including us human beings, we all are dependent on what? We all are dependent on plants for our food, right? So these green plants, how do they synthesize food? Right. So they make the food that they need, and then all other organisms depend on these plants for their nutrition, right? So if we see the green plants, right? If we see the green plants, they synthesize their food through photosynthesis. And what are these plants called? These plants are known as autotrophs, right? So these green plants synthesize their food through photosynthesis and they are known as autotrophs, right? Now we know that this autotrophic nutrition is found in plants and then some microorganisms, right? But for animals, the problem is that we are completely dependent on these green plants. Now, what is photosynthesis? It is a chemical process. It is a physical and chemical process, right? And in this, what happens? In this, the plant uses light energy to drive the synthesis of organic compound, right? Now, this means that these plants are dependent on what? They are dependent on sunlight for this production of food, right? So the energy from sunlight is used by plants during photosynthesis, right? Now, photosynthesis is important because of two reasons. The first reason is that it is the primary source of all food on earth, right? So you'll have to remember that it is important for two reasons, guys. Now, what are these two reasons? The very first reason is that it is primary source of all food, right? What is the second reason? Now, because of photosynthesis, plants release oxygen. So again, they are not just primary source of all food, but photosynthesis is also responsible for release of oxygen into the atmosphere by green plants. And we use or we plus all the animals, we use oxygen to breathe in, right? We again, without oxygen, survival of animals is not possible, right? So now we know that there are two very important reasons why photosynthesis is required. Now, basically, Joseph, a scientist named Joseph Priestley, in between 1733 to 1804, what he did is he performed a series of experiments that revealed the essential role of air in the growth of green plants, right? So basically, Priestley discovered oxygen in 1774. And what he hypothesized that plants restore to the air whatever breathing animals and burning candles reserve. Right. So what he did is that he observed that a candle burning in a closed space, which is a bell jar, it's very quickly gets extinguished. Similarly, if he puts a mouse in that closed space, the mouse would suffocate. So what he concluded is that if either it's a burning candle or it's an animal, right? Both breathe the air, right? And both somehow damage the air. Right. Now, when he placed a mint plant, what he did is he placed a mint plant in the same bell jar along with the mouse and the candle. Then he found out that the mouse is alive and the candle is also continuing to burn. So he hypothesized that plants restore the air that the animals or burning candles are removing, right? So basically, that is nothing but the oxygen, right? Now, basically what he did is, so what Priestley did, he placed the plant in dark and then in the sunlight, right? And then he showed that sunlight is essential to the plant process, and if it is placed in the dark, the plant will die off, right? But if they are placed under sunlight, they keep on growing, right? So later he also showed that it is only the green part of the plants that could release the oxygen. Okay, and then later on there were more experiments like in 1854. Remember guys, in 1854, okay, there was another scientist who was Julius von Sax. Now, Julius von Sax provided evidence that there is production of glucose when the plants grow. So basically, glucose is stored as starch in plants. And what he showed was that green substance in plant is located in special bodies. Basically, the green substances were chlorophyll. The bodies in which they were located was chloroplast, and this is within the plant cell. And these green parts in the plant is the place where glucose is made, and then the glucose is stored as starch, right? Now, in the middle of 19th century, right, in the middle of almost 19th century, the key feature of plant, which is photosynthesis, was finally known. And there was another experiment which proved that plant uses sunlight to make carbohydrate from CO2, carbon dioxide, and water, right? And the process is basically carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light converts into glucose and oxygen is released, right? So here this represents what? It represents the carbohydrate. Okay, and there was a milestone contribution which was done by Cornelius van Niel. So in between 1897 to 1985, right? What he demonstrated was that photosynthesis is a light dependent, right? So based on his study of purple and green bacteria, he demonstrated that photosynthesis is a light dependent reaction in which hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound reduces carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. And how he expressed it in a reaction? So basically, he mentioned it as it's hydrogen, right? So H2A plus carbon dioxide in the presence of light gives carbohydrate, which is CH2O plus H2O and plus this is released, right? Now in green plants, remember guys, in green plants, H2O is the hydrogen donor and is oxidized to oxygen. Now, some organisms do not release oxygen. It's not necessary that all the autotrophic organisms will release oxygen during photosynthesis, right? So, say in case when s- hydrogen sulfide H2S instead of hydrogen donor for which is basically for green, purple and green sulfur bacteria, hydrogen sulfide is the hydrogen donor. Here, there is no oxygen. Right. So the oxidation product is sulfur or sulfate here, not oxygen. Right. Now, what he inferred that oxygen evolved by the green plants comes from water and not from carbon dioxide. And this was later proved by using different radioisotopic techniques as well. So finally, the correct equation that we came up with was that we use 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 12 molecules of water in the presence of light. It produces glucose plus some water is released, and plus oxygen, 6 molecules of oxygen is released. Okay, so here C6H12O6 represents glucose. This is glucose, and oxygen is released from water, right? So this is how photosynthesis happens, and it is a light dependent reaction, right? Now, where does it happen exactly? Let's see, where does it happen? So, in case of the plants, it happens in the green leaf. We said that the green part of plant can only perform photosynthesis, right? Now, in plants, it takes place in chloroplasts, right? So, what is the structure of chloroplast and how does it exactly performs the function of photosynthesis? So, within the chloroplast, there is a membranous system which consists of grana. So, within the chloroplast, there are different structures. The first one is there is a membrane, there is a system formed by different layers of membrane, which is grana. Then comes the stroma lamellae. So the first is grana, then we have stroma lamellae, and then we have the fluid or the matrix of stroma, right? So basically, there is a clear division of labor within the chloroplast. The membrane system is responsible for trapping the light energy, right? So the membrane system of grana, this is responsible for trapping the sunlight basically, right? And it also helps in synthesis of ATP and NADPH. Okay, now what happens in stroma? What happens here? In stroma, the enzymatic reactions. Remember, in stroma, what is happening? In stroma, the enzymatic reactions which synthesize sugar, right? And then it turns into starch. So here, sugar is synthesized. Right? So the former set of reactions where the sunlight is trapped and ATP and NADPH is synthesized is known as light reaction. So this one is known as light reaction. Why? Because it is happening in the presence of light. It is known as photochemical reactions as well. And this reaction is known as dark reactions. It is also known as carbon reactions. This is happening in the absence of light, right? So the first one is known as light reaction, where light is directly involved. The next one, which is happening in the stroma, is known as dark reaction because there there is no direct involvement of light, but it is dependent on the products of light reaction. You will have to remember, guys, that the ATP and NADPH which is produced during the light reactions are utilized during the dark reactions, right? So that is why they occur in darkness and they are not light dependent directly, but yes, indirectly they are dependent on the products of light reaction. Now, if you will see the diagram as well, this is the diagram of chloroplast. Now here This is the outer membrane. Then we have the inner membrane. Now this membranous structure is the stroma. So this is the stroma lamellae. This stack is grana, right? And this is the matrix. This is the matrix stroma. There are some ribosomes. This is the starch granule. And there are some lipid droplets as well. So guys, this is the exact structure of chloroplast and you should practice it by drawing it again and again. It might be a part of your question in boards. So you should practice this again and again, right? So guys, with this, we have finished the basic definition and where does photosynthesis takes place. I hope you would have understood the video properly. If yes, please do like the video and share it with your friends. And if you have any doubt, please do not hesitate in asking your doubts. You can do it either through comments on this video or you can send me a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp number is given in the description, guys. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get all the updated videos that I'll be posting. Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.